at the time, the kid that he was wrestling was pretty good. And when I say pretty good, I mean top 10 in the state was where he finished his year. Josh didn't really care. Josh walked out, took him down, put a crossface cradle on him, and pinned him. And I thought our bench was going to lose. I really thought that we were going to get deducted a team point. Everybody cheered and screamed and jumped up and down, and parents went absolutely crazy. But that match helped us get the momentum back and allowed us to go on a run to beat them in the semifinals, and later on we beat Clarksville in the finals, and it was the first time that we had won a tournament, the program had won a tournament. So it was a pretty big moment for us. But Josh kind of continued that throughout the course of his career. Josh seemed to step up and really excel in the dual aspect of competition. He was always a guy that walked out and kind of gave us a little boost here, whether it was picking up the win when we needed it or cutting bonus in really, really tough matches. But Josh was always, he was the guy that you really kind of looked at and said, you know, let's put him in the dual lineup. He tends to do great things there and helps out his teammates. So thank you for 4 years worth of service to us, Josh. Senior Josh Wood. Our next senior is Jack Lewis. Jack is a 4-year letterman, 2-year starter, and 1-time individual region champ. Jack is also one of the co-founders of the AHS Ultimate Frisbee team. Woo! So, last year, Jack and Simon Canals were in an epic battle to figure out who was going to start for us at a particular way. Sometimes Simon got the call, sometimes Jack got the call, went back and forth, and at the end of the year, Jack won a wrestle off and makes his way into the region tournament. Since Jack had split time with Simon, he had, we'll say, a few matches in regional competition, which was not enough to get him seeded, so Jack walked into the region tournament unseeded. You talk about guys that make the most of an opportunity. Jack, as an unseeded wrestler, knocked off 2 highly seeded wrestlers, I believe it was the 2 and the 3, to make the region finals, and wrestled an eventual state medalist to a very, very close match. At the end of the year, even though he had split time with another individual in the varsity lineup, his last 3 losses that year were only to individual state medalists. Jack accounted for a number of bonus points for us this year. He was known for his throws and big throws of big people in a lot of cases, which makes for some interesting matches as fans, I'm sure that you guys know. For coaches, it makes us sit on the edge of our seat. It makes us lose our hair. Coach Sauce's hairline has receded a little bit now. But lots and lots of bonus points and lots of memorable matches. Senior Jack Lewis. Unfortunately, our next senior is not here, but I'm going to have his dad come up here and stand with me.
No. Maddie will go up. She's much better looking than Harrison, so she can stand up there. And...
Go, Maddie.
Go ahead, Maddie.
We'll tell Harrison that the heat out there.
Absolutely. I've never seen him look better. Never seen him look better. Harrison is a 4-year letterman, 3-year starter, and a 3-time individual region champ. He is also a state medalist. Harrison cannot be with us tonight because he is an accomplished STEM student and is on a field trip representing AHS in STEM, where most of the time he represents them in wrestling. So you always want to tell a funny story about your kids, and Harrison has several of them. Coach Sauce wanted me to tell the biscuit story with Reed and Kara, which I thought after we just got finished proceeding, that would not be a good story to the parents. But Harrison has left his mark on our program in a lot of different ways. One of them is in the weight room. He was really dedicated within the weight room and really pushed for others to be dedicated in the weight room so much that he built in his own slogan. It was so popular, he put it on a t-shirt, and several of them bought these t-shirts. So I walked into the weight room one day, and we're getting ready to lift, and it's athletic study all time, and Coach Simpson's in there, and nobody else is in there, and one was there, lady Kim, go down to the locker room, yell at them, and I get ready to step outside the weight room, and all of a sudden they all come flooding in. They all got on these same tank tops, and the tank tops say LGBT. And all I could think of was, here we go. The wrestling team is opening up to new and exciting experiences. And across the shirt it says, let's get buffed together. My response was less than appropriate. And there's Harrison, smiling from ear to ear. Coach, do you like my shirts? Which I replied, I like my job more. Please don't wear those out in the public. But that was Harrison. Funny to the point, finding ways to get guys to follow him in his pursuit of ever being swole. Senior Harrison Phillips. All right. Our final senior for the evening, Caleb Morgan.
We've got my ugly mug for 5 minutes. So.
Caleb is a 4-year letterman, 4-year starter, 3-time individual region champ, and the first 4-time region finalist in program history. Caleb is ranked inside the top 10 in his class, and I found out today that he will be Arlington High School's nominee for Commercial Appeals Scholar Athlete of the Year. Awesome. Kind of a trend here with all these seniors and being multifaceted and stuff, you know. I don't know where they get it from. It's obviously not their coaches. So going back over 4 years of Caleb starting for the team and trying to think about a story to tell was a little daunting. So I really had to think about it. One of the things that sticks out in my mind about Caleb and the story was my first year at Arlington, we had a pretty good team. We were wrestling Bartlett for the district title. I had instituted this new thing called Senior Night, made a big production out of it, and it backfired on me. I put the guys in this great situation like you've seen for the past couple of years, and they got really nervous, and Bartlett didn't. And Bartlett really made it a match. In fact, it came down to the last match, and we were down by 5 points, and Caleb had to wrestle last. So here we are, a district title, crosstown rivalry, all sitting on the shoulders of a freshman who I looked at and said they had never been in this position before, and with freshmen, you never know how they're going to react. I told Coach Sossman, I said, man, we may be in trouble. This may not work out for us. And as I stroll back to the wrestling room, trying to be confident and exude this confidence for this freshman to see, and kind of trying to lead by example, I'm sure the look on my face was one that was, oh. Coach Hussey opened the door, looked right at me, and shook his head like this, and I looked at Caleb to speak to him, and he had no expression on his face other than, I'll get this done. And that has been him for 4 years. I'll get it done. It doesn't seem like the circumstances bother him. It doesn't seem like the moment bothers him, how big the situation is. Caleb is always, I'll get it done. And that was one thing that I told Coach Sauceman. I said, in that moment, I told him, I said, we'll talk about that at his senior banquet. And here we are, and I'm talking about it. Senior Caleb Morgan. At this point in time, I'd like to recognize our state placers. So if our 3 wrestlers that placed at the state tournament can come up here, and then Mr. Phillips, I'm gonna need you to come up here because I actually have to give you something. Now come on up here.
I'm not sure I should operate this game.
Almost. No, not yet. Keyword yet.
That's right. So while we only have a handful of state placers within our program's history, they are extremely important. And when I got here and realized that the program didn't have one, made sure that they got remedied in the first year, and it has continued. And talking with Coach Sauceman, we decided that something needed to be done to mark these individual accomplishments in our history. So we decided that once these individuals would graduate, we would put a plaque on a wall with their accomplishments. And he asked me, so we're going to give them one every year? And I thought to myself, with the kind of wrestler that I'd like to produce, that's going to get really expensive really quickly. I said, no, we'll wait till they're seniors, put it all on one plaque. So the first one actually gets a plaque. That's Harrison, since he's graduating. Harrison's plaque will go on the wall in the revamped weight room, where we'll have his accomplishments and his picture, so that the guys behind him can chase down that history. So even though he's not here physically, he is here with us. So Harrison Phillips. Our other 3 individuals tonight actually get to come back next year and try to elongate their plaque. All are juniors, so all are going to return. All stepped up in a number of different ways. Austin Ancliffe, state placer, 170 pounds, 6th place. Dalton Cochran, state placer, 152 pounds, 4th place. And Reed Cannon, in 2016, he was 6th place at 106 pounds. In 2017, he was 5th place at 113 pounds. And this year, he was the state runner-up at 120 pounds. All right, we have 4 individual year-end awards that we give out each year. This year we're going to start with the Workhorse Award. The Workhorse Award is for the individual that exemplifies a workhorse. This is the guy that is at every workout. He pushes himself to the limits in just about everything he does. As Coach Elias talked about pushing the edge, usually the guy that wins this doesn't just push his edge. He blasts past it on a daily basis. And it's not just an in-season thing, it's an off-season thing, it's a summer thing, it's a preseason thing, it's a season thing, it's a lifestyle thing. This year's recipient exemplified that year-round. In fact, I don't think there was maybe a handful of days that this individual didn't work out multiple times a day. His record within our Tiger Tough workouts was exemplary. It seemed like he found a way to boost his team to win every single time. Even the times that the coaching staff loaded his team to make it seem a little fair for everybody else, he just found ways to win. Whether it was pushing guys to hang with him, doing the extra reps that needed to be done to keep the competitive edge, it just seemed like he refused to lose every Tiger Tough workout. This year's Workhorse Award winner, senior state medalist, Harrison Phillips. Our next award is the Leadership Award. This was started by the coaching staff several years ago to recognize those individuals that exemplified great leadership skills and abilities throughout the course of the year. This is always a very difficult award to give. Different people have different leadership styles, skills, moments, and it's not always your captains. We decided that when we would give this award, it would go to an underclassman. It would go to somebody that maybe perhaps didn't necessarily everybody look to as that's the leader, that's the guy we follow. But in those critical times, they stepped up and led by example. They led by what they spoke, and they backed it up with their actions. This year, we had a hard time deciding. It came down to two individuals, and we decided we'll break the rules and we're going to give it to two this year. One was a captain and one was not. Our captain set a great example with his work ethic, and he always seemed to have the most positive outlook in any situation, regardless of how much everybody else was throwing up. This kid had a smile on his face and was telling everybody, it's okay, we're almost done. Austin Ankler.
Yes.
Our second recipient, while not being a captain, stepped up on a number of occasions, not only leading by example, but also knowing when to use sugar and when to be a little salty. He made great strides in showing his maturity during the course of the year, whether it was to upperclassmen or lowerclassmen. Regardless of who you were, what you were doing, what the workout was, what it was, he led by example. And if he told you to do something, he was not scared to do it himself. Our other recipient of the Leadership Award, junior returning state medalist, Reed Cannon. Our next award is voted on by the team. It's the teammate of the year. This person exemplifies all the qualities that you would want in a teammate. They're the guy that you go to when you're having a tough day. This guy seems to be the guy that you go to when you need a good workout partner. He was also the guy that gave rides. He'd be willing to stay after practice, work with you on individual things, and he had an uncanny ability to know when it was time to be serious and when it was time to make some sort of joke. Usually he did that by playing some sort of Miley Cyrus or Britney Spears song during cardio workouts. Your teammate of the year, voted on by your team, Justin Diamond. Yeah. team morale by wearing jorts to school.
You don't know, those are jean shorts.
Like I need this thing. I'm not loud enough. Our last individual award for this evening is the Israel Cordero Coaches Award. 4 years ago when I took over the program from Coach Cordero stepped down to take care of his family. He put something bigger than himself before himself. And we wanted to honor him, and not only honor him, but also honor an individual athlete that did that on a regular basis throughout the course of the year. And this year's recipient has done that on a number of occasions. This individual wrestled wherever and whenever we asked him to. He never complained about having to wrestle outside of his weight class. He never complained about having to wrestle if he was sick, if he was injured, if he felt good. It did not seem to faze him. He was also the guy that when you stepped in the room, if you needed a good partner, it didn't matter what weight you were at, he was willing to work with you. In fact, this individual, when given the choice of where he was going to wrestle in a duel, looked me dead in the eye and said, "Where does the team need me to be?" And that in itself exemplifies the award. Your Israel Cordero Coaches Award winner this year is Senior Caleb Morgan. Each one of these plaques will be displayed in our new revamped weight room for everyone to see, including those that will come behind these individuals and that we would hope would exemplify their behavior as well. All right, I promise I'm almost done. Unfortunately, I'm to the biggest part of what I got to do tonight, and that's the thank yous. Because this thing doesn't go off without everybody. And I would be remiss if I did not try to recognize every single person. A big thanks from the coaching staff to the booster board. These are the people that, as coaches, we text, we call, we email, or we catch them somewhere and say, "I need this done," and they go, "Sure, no problem," and then we say, "I needed it done yesterday, can you get it done?" And they always seem to come through for us. Whether it's getting a check cut, getting a hotel, getting information out to parents, they always seem to get it done. And where Andy is our president, and most people look at Andy and point to him, I know when he stood up here, he thanked everybody on that board, and he's right. It takes every single person on that board to get it done, because as organized as the coaching staff looks, it's our booster board that makes it work. So thank you very much. Miss Amy for keeping our kids on the mat and keeping us healthy and kind of trying to keep skin funk away from us as much as she can. Thank you so much. Many of your children wouldn't have wrestled as many times as they did without it. To the administration, from Miss Tammy Mason, Miss Penny, all the teachers on campus that congratulate the guys, that congratulate the coaching staff. We are very well supported on our campus. And our teachers know who our wrestlers are, and every time there's an announcement about something great the kids did, I know a lot of those teachers say something to them, and we appreciate their support. To every parent in here who has driven somebody to a match, your child or someone else's, for fixing sandwiches, running concession stands, hospitality rooms, buying food at Sam's, doing laundry on trips, buying gear that was needed at an out-of-town tournament, getting medications when we're out of town, all the other things that you have done for your kids and for other people's children, thank you so much. To our sponsors, Sarah Chevrolet, Lisa Cannon, Faith Family Medical, DuPont, the Schotteners, Arlington Wrestling Club, Miss Amy Sullivan, Mr. Marzoff, who's not here, but especially Mr. Todd Roden. Without you and all your donations, we could not provide the opportunities that we have for our student athletes, and for that, I thank you. I want to say a special thank you to Todd. He raised a lot of money for us this year, even though his oldest son graduated last year, and his younger son will not be with us till next year. He helped to keep the program going. He also went out and found me about $3,000 so that we could get nice new stuff for the weight room, in addition to all the nice new stuff that we already had. So thank you very much. Ms. Jancy, for putting together this nice shindig. Thank you so much for doing all that you do to help us honor the kids and the great things that they've done over the course of the year. Thank you so much. To our senior parents who think that they're going to be leaving us, but I know that Ms. Jancy has already started trying to pull them back in. Thank you for everything that you have done over the course of the past 4 years. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, every senior parent has served on a board or has had a spouse that has served on our board who has helped immensely throughout the course of 4 years. Thank you so much. To Mr. Phillips for pulling our program into the 21st century, from all the social media to making donations of various hygienic soaps for the boys to keep the skin infections away, disinfectant to keep the locker room mats and everything else clean, a ton of other supplies that the list would go on and on. But I am most thankful to Mr. Phillips for being the most honest and exciting Periscope commentator. Bryson and Susan, thank you so much. When they served as president together, and I use that loosely, I know how it worked, Miss Susan. They were awesome. They always make sure that we have the best spread around. They are the people that would set up the table at away tournaments and put out sandwiches and Nutrigrain bars and made sure that boys had Pedialyte and everything. People were very envious of us, and I have noticed that people have now started to model their own spread after us.
Yes, absolutely.
But they were also the people that I called the most while they were president and said, I need this and I needed it yesterday. And either Miss Susan or Mr. Bryson would show up and say, here you go, Coach, it's done. So thank you so much. And I am so sorry that I did that to you. To our wrestling assistants, you are the reason that the coaching staff looks good. You literally do the dirty work. From dirty laundry, to cleaning mats, to dispensing nose plugs, gauze, and everything in between. You make an immeasurable impact on our program. Without you, we couldn't get it done, and we do not thank you enough. And I apologize for that, because we should be thanking you every day, all day. Thank you so much, girls. To the wrestlers, thank you for all the hard work that you put in. Thank you for trusting the staff to do what we do to push you towards your goals. I am humbled on a daily basis by the work ethic that your sons put out, and it is second to none. They are in a class by themselves at the high school, and they are in a class by themselves not only on the regional level, but also the state level. They are truly the hardest working kids at their high school. Thank you, guys. To Coach Nettleton, who unfortunately couldn't be with us tonight, I appreciate the job that he and his staff do with our youth program and prepping kids to come into the high school program. It makes our job as high school coaches much, much easier. I also thank all the dads and men out there that run youth programs, that work with youth wrestling, that prepare kids to be successful on the high school level. I can't really thank those guys enough. What they do is immensely important, and it does make our jobs as coaches a lot easier than it has to be. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank my family for putting up with me, particularly through the course of the season. I have been told I get a little cranky, so I appreciate your understanding. To Pops, from scouting reports to words of wisdom to perspective, and for reminding me what is truly important on a regular basis, I thank you very much. And to my nephews for always reminding me that it's all about fun. It's all about fun, Uncle John. To my assistant coaches, they are the men that put in the real work. Your relationship with our athletes makes our team what it is. They go above and beyond on a regular basis, whether it's getting down and wrestling with the guys, putting their arm around them, doing match notes, talking to guys after matches, before matches. You are both outstanding men in what you do. These boys and their parents are lucky to have you in our program, as am I. You are better men than I am, and I strive to be better because of you. I cannot thank you enough. Even if I did it on a daily basis, it wouldn't